I'm very annoyed always by these Hollywood events. These Hollywood events always annoy me because I grew up in Hollywood. And Hollywood is filled with the most self-righteous and yet despicable people that you will ever meet in your life. Hollywood is filled with people who engage in sexual harassment and abuse. In fact, Hollywood as a town was built on sexual harassment and abuse. I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that I don't mean that in an exaggerated fashion. I mean that a huge percentage of Hollywood films, a huge percentage of Hollywood starlets got their starts on the Hollywood casting couch. Virtually every major producer in town at one time or another has thrown his power around as well as his genitals. Okay, the idea that this is not the predominant mode of how casting is done in Hollywood and has been done for decades, I think is a bit of a stretch. The fact is Hollywood is pretty degenerate. It always has been on these matters. And there were a lot of women who are willing to engage with that, knowing the risks, knowing that they were going to come here and be sent to the casting couch. I've showed you in the past films that make open jokes about this. All About Eve. There's some open jokes about Marilyn Monroe using the casting couch. Okay, this is not something that is brand new from Hollywood. Well, Hollywood suddenly gets hit for it, and suddenly everyone's very surprised. And not only that, they're there to virtue signal. It's just great. They're there to come along and signal to you not only that they are wonderful leftists, but also that they are just shocked and appalled by what's happened in Hollywood. They're here to joke about all of the terrible things they've done. As I said at the top of the show, it's like watching NFL executives joke about concussions or Penn State executives joke about pedophilia. You can't do this, okay? Hollywood has an entire event dedicated to patting itself on the back for how much it's standing up to the sexual harassment scandal that's happening in its own industry and to which many of the people who were testifying last night were party in the first place. Okay, we'll go through all of this, but let's start with Seth Meyers' opening monologue. So Seth Meyers begins by slapping Hollywood, and then, of course, he has his obligatory slams against Trump. He's too lazy to actually write any new jokes about Trump, so instead he just hijacks jokes that were told last year by Hugh Laurie, I believe it was the Golden Globes, about the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Here is Seth Meyers again, an overrated comedian who masquerades as a political thinker. Here he is doing his opening monologue.
Good evening, ladies and remaining gentlemen. Underway, and I can tell because it's been years since a white man was this nervous in Hollywood. I'm not even the most powerful Seth in the room tonight. Hey, remember when he was the guy making trouble with North Korea? Simpler times. And we're all here tonight courtesy of the Hollywood Foreign Press. A string of 3 words that could not have been better designed to infuriate our president. Hollywood Foreign Press. The only name that would make it.
This is old, this is lazy, there's nothing new here. And the idea, we're all going to laugh now about white men being in power. We're all going to laugh now about men being sexist. We're all going to laugh about how men are on the run in Hollywood. Except that half this crowd cheered Roman Polanski. Half this crowd stood up and cheered Woody Allen when he won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Golden Globe 6 years ago in 2012. Harvey Weinstein on this stage was feted as a god by Meryl Streep, who last night was talking about Me Too and Time's Up. And it's not just Seth Meyers. Obviously, Deborah Messing arrived and decided that it was time to slam E! Channel for the so-called pay gap, right? The implication being that E! Doesn't pay its female hosts enough. Deborah Messing, the multimillionaire, who's a terrible actress, by the way, and blocked me on Twitter. Not because I just called her a terrible actress, but long ago, she blocked me because I guess and said that she would cancel her subscription to the New York Times after the New York Times did a profile of me that did not rip me as a racist, because I'm not. Deborah Messing decides that now's a good time to virtue signal about the pay gap. She wasn't the only one, by the way. What's the name of the lady? What's the name of the lady from Friday Night Lights? Connie Britton. Right. So Connie Britton shows up last night wearing a shirt that says something like poverty is sexist. It said poverty is sexist. The shirt cost $380. Not a joke. $380. And after she spilled champagne on it, then it was worth $700. So well done, Connie Britton. Poverty is sexist. But she's not the only hypocrite. Here's Deborah Messing, a very, very wealthy woman, for being a garbage actress on a show that was really about the gay guy and about the shrill, high-pitched woman, and not about her at all. Here is Deborah Messing talking about the pay gap at E!
And we want diversity, we want intersectional gender parity, we want equal pay. And I mean, I was so shocked to hear that E! doesn't believe in paying their female co-hosts the same as their male co-hosts. I mean, I miss Kat Sadler, and so we stand with her, and that's something that can change tomorrow.
So much heroism, so much strength, So much Normandy-like bravery. My God. Standing on the red carpet, wearing probably a gown worth probably several $1,000s, talking about the pay gap that obviously is just brutal for women at E, whose entire job consists of standing alongside men at E, both of whom talk about celebrities all day. Okay, let's be real about this. Women in the entertainment industry, in the talent side of the entertainment industry, are not getting destroyed by sexism. Okay, they are in terms of sexual harassment and sexual assault. That's a different issue. But in terms of the pay gap, okay, the idea that Natalie Portman and Jennifer Lawrence are being destroyed by sexism, or that the women at E couldn't just go to their bosses and say, listen, either pay me more or I'll leave. Here's the thing about the free market. If you are easily replaceable, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but women at E and men at E are probably pretty replaceable. It doesn't seem like a particularly tough job. Then maybe you ought to ask for a raise less often rather than more often. I mean, if you could start an E channel, honestly, and pay everybody $30,000 a year and be staffed up the wazoo. I mean, there are people who are beautiful working at Coffee Bean every single day who would die to work for $35,000. I don't know what Coffee Bean pays. Maybe it's more than that. But there are people who would die to be working on E and be on TV every day for $35,000. In any case, there's Deborah Messing complaining about that. Mary J. Blige comes out and she says, you know, in the new Me Too moment, I will kill you if you touch me. But there's something that she doesn't say, which kind of bothers me here. Here's Mary J. Blige.
Oh, I've had the fight since I was 5 years old. I haven't had anybody approach me like that since I've been in the music business. But ever since from 5 to 17, I've been going through hell with sexual harassment. So, you know, by the time I got to the music business, it was like, don't touch me. You know, oh, I'll kill you.
Okay, so first of all, that's great that she had that attitude. It's horrible what happened to her as a child. I would like to hear her name the names of the guys who tried to touch her in the music industry. Right? This is the one thing that was so shocking about last night. You watch all of this, and what you see over and over and over is that nobody's willing to name any names, right? They're just willing to talk about broad problems, broad American sexism, broad sexual harassment, but no one's willing to name any names, which means all these guys get away with it. And half of them are in the room. Right? Half of them are in the room. Natalie Portman, I thought, was the most egregious offender last night, just in terms of being obnoxiously smug. She gets up and they're talking about the all-male directors who are nominated. Which women should have been nominated last year that I missed? Like Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman? Who should have been nominated exactly? In any case, here's Natalie Portman suggesting and whining about all-male directors.
We are honored to be here to present the award for Best Director.
And here are the all-male nominees.
Oh, burn, Mitches! Okay, like, what in the world? Like, oh my God, what bravery. Stunning bravery. Natalie Portman, worth millions and millions of dollars for being not a very good actress. Yay, Natalie Portman. Oh man, she struck back against the patriarchy that time. Boom! Roasted. Oh, Hollywood is so smug and so irritating. I mean, I'm famous for being smug, and they outclass me by orders of magnitude. Finally, at long last, I want to get to the Emmys. The Emmys did not get great ratings last night. They did not get terrific ratings because they're not very good. Nobody watches these award shows anymore, and they still get huge ratings against other TV. But this was a very, very low-rated Emmys. Part of that is because people are alienated by culture being used to foment politics. Part of it is because all the TV shows that are now being rewarded are TV shows that a lot of people have never seen. Right? Nobody watched The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, in terms of relative numbers, nobody watched The Handmaid's Tale. The shows that were up for awards were Westworld, basically, Handmaid's Tale, and the other one, no, Stranger Things. Those were the three that were up for a lot of awards last night. Handmaid's Tale basically swept, and it swept because of politics. So people were not going to tune in to watch a bad book become a bad TV series and then get awarded a lot. So the politics made a difference. This is the thing that Hollywood really doesn't understand. If they were a little bit less overt in their politics, they'd actually be much more effective in shifting the cultural debate. But it's the culture war that truly matters, right? People like Trump because they hate the Emmys. People like Trump because they hate Stephen Colbert. People like Trump because they hate what they saw last night with a bunch of rich, puffed up, arrogant elitists who suggest they know best for the rest of America while living in their palatial estates off of Sunset Boulevard and avoiding their taxes by banking offshore. Now on to the Emmys. So Stephen Colbert opens up the Emmys, and he opens with this musical number. This is everything. This is everything that Americans like about Trump because they hate this. They hate this from Hollywood. They're sick of being lectured. They're sick of being told that they're wrong. They're sick of being told that they're rubes. They're sick of being told that there's no such thing as gender. They're sick of being told that gender is a construct in the mind. They're sick of being told that America is a backwards place for women and black people. They're sick of being lectured. That's what Hollywood does. Again, the whole thing is a rip on the news, right? So the news is terrible. The news is what about people who think the news isn't that terrible? Right? I mean, like there's like half the country that thinks that the news isn't like, it's not, the stock market's up, right? I mean, like people are getting their jobs back. This idea that everything is garbage and that we're all going to die, there's not a lot of evidence of that. And then we finally get to the end of this, and I don't know if we can fast forward to the graphic where we have The Handmaid's Tale. At the very end of this little musical number, he brings out a bunch of people to dance for The Handmaid's Tale, and it's a bunch of people in basically spandex lingerie outfits, including a bunch of dudes, right? Because transgenderism, yay! So if you're watching this at home and you're annoyed by this, and every 5 seconds there's a Trump joke, you're like, okay, well, listen, if I have to choose between Hollywood and Trump, I'll choose Trump. The cultural issues matter. And Hollywood needs to understand this, because if they were smart, what they would do is shut up. If Hollywood were smart, they would shut up. They really would. They would go back to making entertaining things without a lot of the political messaging. The reason being, they are providing Trump the wall to bounce up against, right? Trump is rubber. He's a rubber ball. He just bounces up against things. And if he bounces up against Hollywood, the rest of the American people will bounce right with him. They don't like Hollywood. We like to watch it. That doesn't mean we like you. Right? We like to watch Floyd Mayweather box too, but he's a jerk. That doesn't mean we like you. And if we're forced to choose between Floyd Mayweather and anyone else, we'll choose anyone else. And if we're forced to choose between the Hollywood morality and anyone else, we'll choose anyone else. So the opening musical number wasn't even the bad part, right? That was pretty mild stuff. Then we got to Colbert's opening monologue, and his opening monologue really was pathetic.
Of course, there's no way anyone could possibly watch that much TV other than the president, who seems to have a lot of time for that sort of thing. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to the tweets.
Okay, so he made a bunch of Trump jokes all throughout the evening. It never stopped at any point. And then they brought out at one point Sean Spicer to mock Trump and to mock himself. So Spicer was, of course, played by Melissa McCarthy, who won an Emmy last night for playing Spicer. Alec Baldwin won an Emmy for playing Trump. Kate McKinnon won an Emmy for playing Hillary. So basically, everyone won an Emmy for playing the part of political people, which just demonstrates the merger between politics and entertainment, right? That we only care about if we have to choose between Alec Baldwin and Donald Trump wins that battle every time. In any case, in the middle of this, Sean Spicer is brought out to make a joke about himself, and the left loses their minds over this.
Sean, do you know?
This will be the largest audience to witness an Emmys, period. Both in person and around the world.
Okay, so again, what's funny about this, listen, I think it's funny that he did this. I think that it's funny that Sean Spicer participated, although I've objected in the past to all of these politicians participating. If we're going to do it, this is funnier than Obama just showing up on random shows or Biden showing up on random shows, because he is the butt of the joke. The left went nuts over this. They went crazy. Again, culture wars matter more than politics. The culture war matters. Sean Spicer comes out, makes a joke about himself. He's mocking himself here, right? He's mocking his whole Trump had the biggest audience in history shtick from the inauguration. And what's the upshot? Melissa McCarthy says she was insulted that he stole her joke. Really? People on the left were insulted that Sean Spicer had been normalized. These are the same people who say that Chelsea Manning is a hero. Okay, these are the same people who say that Chelsea Manning, Vice ran a headline today that said Chelsea Manning is the purest soul on the internet. What in the hell? But these are the people who say Sean Spicer must never be normalized. Ben Rhodes, who's national security advisor under President Obama and who blatantly lied about the Iran deal to the American people for years. He said, how could we normalize Sean Spicer? Again, culture wars, culture wars. And then it gets worse. Jane Fonda, right? The lady who sat on a Viet Cong gun, a North Vietnamese army gun, pointed at American soldiers. And Lily Tomlin, they show up to mock President Trump and do a 9-to-5 routine.
Well, back in 1980 in that movie, we refused to be controlled by a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot. Really.
And in 2017, we still refuse to be controlled by a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot.
Oh, so much courage. So much courage. Wow, you refuse to be... Well, frankly, he doesn't care about you. When is he trying to control you? What did he do? Again, this is what Hollywood doesn't understand. Their culture war makes this into a culture war, not a political war. And then Kate McKinnon gets up, and she's the one who played Hillary Clinton at the on SNL. And you'll recall that she actually sang Hallelujah after Hillary Clinton lost, like a weepy Hallelujah tribute to Hillary Clinton, because it was so clear she wanted Hillary to win. Okay, she gets up and she thanks Hillary Clinton. I don't remember Chevy Chase thanking Gerald Ford for playing Gerald Ford. Here's Kate McKinnon.
Thank you to Fern and Suze, my LA moms. Thank you, Jack. I love you. What else? Thank you. I want to, on a very personal note, I want to say thank you to Hillary Clinton for your grace and grit. And thank you, my mother and sister. I'm so proud of you, Mom. I love you.
Okay, thanking Hillary Clinton on a personal note. Thank you so much. Okay, this is why the ratings are low for the Emmys. It's why culture is not only losing its impact, it's losing its voice.